I just had this thought about money. If I am someone who's happy, then by definition, the checkpoints that I'll go to in life and what's involved with those checkpoints are basically just this feeling, but in the future. And I have this feeling now by choice. It's unconditional. And it just so happens to be that where I go in the future is based on desire. It's based on feeling. It's based on the fact that I'm not going to that location to receive something, and then because I've received that something, I'm happy. It's that I'm happy now, and then I go and I choose to receive those things. It's the resonance with the journey versus the end, the literal destination. And so if you relate this with money, then you could also venture to say that money in itself is a happy thing. Money loves being used. Money loves being what it is, a currency. It's meant to be exchanged. So in that surface level definition, if the money in itself is being used and transacted in prosperous ways, then the money itself is being used and exchanged for its intended use. And obviously that's objectively subjective. And I understand that where I'm coming from is just my perspective. And so speaking based off of my perspective, I can look at money in the sense that I look at myself. Money enjoys being in happy places. It's not because the place that it's in makes it happy. It's that money itself is happiness. Money in itself is a particular resonant energy. And when a steward is able to put it into a location, then the money in itself appreciates in the basis that it itself is on its own path, and it itself is receiving stewards, and it's receiving its fulfillment of its own desire. It literally wants to be used, and it wants to be put into places where the people and those who are interacting with the exchange are grateful, because money in itself is grateful that it's being used. So to kind of expand on this a little bit further, the essence of money, if money were to be a person, right? Money expands, and money expands joyously. So if money by definition is expanding joyously, then we can also look at money in the basic sense that if you think in your mind where you yourself would be happy using money, and that's the literal act of using it, not the act of using money as a means to get to, oh, okay, by going into this store and giving them the money, I can receive something that's going to make me happy. Not like that, but more so in the sense that, okay, I'm happy to use the money, and by definition, whatever the result is that I get at the end of the exchange is essentially irrelevant, but cognitively known in the basis that the system that the money is being used to exchange, is relevant, is complementary to the system that is at the end. So, for example, to again make this a little bit more simple, for those with the refined mind that are like, we'll just objectively look at it in like the sense of people and their systems. And again, this is just based off of what I've seen and experienced, and there's so many different nuances and hypotheticals to this, but I'm just going to objectively say it because a lot of this is objective. The Germans and the Japanese have essentially excelled in the systems and procedures involved with manufacturing, right? So if a person that is honoring the systems gets to essentially take the honor of manufacturing a car, an engine, for example, and then they can manufacture a system for farming and developing crops, to then manufacture and take the same energy into manufacturing a restaurant or a bistro or maybe even a train station, for example, or a train line. The system itself is what they're showing up for. The end result is so universally different that they don't worry about the end. They don't worry about the result, because the literal system itself is the end. For example, like riding a bike. You're riding a bike because you're pedaling. You wouldn't necessarily ride the bike because it's going to get you to work. If that's what you're doing, then you might not be, I would say objectively, riding the bike being like, oh, I'm so happy to be going to work. Because going back to the reference of what I was making with the Japanese and the Germans, is that when you consider something as basic as like a car, like if I were to go and look up most reliable cars, I'm gonna see German and Japanese cars. And so with that essence, it's like, the folks that resonate with a particular system that goes into a particular kind of a car honor the systems that they resonate with. So they resonate with high quality, durability, and because they honor that system within themselves, they then resonate with that system that exists in a vehicle or a hotel or anything like that. So by definition, the energy that's going to be supplied to them is going to be complementary in the sense that they get to continue to interact with those systems perpetually. And as long as they redundantly continue in the system, the ability for the system to reward the individual is going to keep being there, just in the same way that money is going to continuously go out of its way to say, hey, I have the ability to give you enough energy by choice, because you resonate with receiving energy, because you resonate with the ability to have more and more attention being put into the system. Because again, the system in itself, objectively, is going to be granting the individual more energy than it would if the person, they're going to be getting more than they would leave out or use or expend versus someone who is using systems in the inverse systems, which is essentially to say that the individual is finding systems that don't work for them in the way that they would be providing the individual with energy. They would be systems that drain the individual of energy, and that is only because they're giving away more energy than the systems that they use that are not rightfully fulfilling the equation. So all this is to say is that money in itself is essentially both an energy and in a way to be, in a sense, taken and respected like a person, because if you can internally create systems that benefit you, and then when you have money, then use that money as a means of exchange to rightfully put the money, basically you have a good feeling within you and you're like, oh, I get to literally have the money. And then by having the money walk into places and be like, this system at this location deserves this energy, purely based off the fact that the system itself is relevant to the system you have inside of you, that is the same system that says, hey, I'm a happy person. So the people that deserve the money are also, in their own way, crafted individuals that respect their own systems and have a kind of high maintenance about themselves, so that the system can be continually expanded upon. So all this is to say is that the system in itself is the end. And by continuously finding systems that are like that, for example, systems that bring ease and harmony into life and make you eager to use them and things of that nature, then you have a positive relationship with the creative process. And by having a positive relationship with the creative process, money then can be rightfully used by those who have generated that association. And so all of this is to really say is that if you go out of your way to resonate with something, it's because it's already in your path. It's quite literally a guitar string that's like a higher pitched guitar string that's it's like you're a guitar string, and that thing is also that same guitar string that you are. I was gonna say that the high A and like I don't know if this is even real, but like a G, I'm just more emphasizing like a higher pitch and like a lower pitch. Because if you pluck a low pitched string, it's not going to resonate the high pitched string. But if you're a high pitched string and that other thing is a high pitched string, then you're going to go meet each other because you're the same thing. And you're going to resonate with each other, called tuning forks. So yeah, all this is essentially to say that and it's simple now that I'm able to articulate it. And because it's simple, it's easy and it's flowing, okay? So there's no need to worry, because the pure essence principle of the fact that I resonate with the system is irrelevant from the fact that, okay, so this might be where we're going with the detachment, is that the individual can be detached from the result, aka the product, aka the service, if the procedures themselves are worthy of the time and attention and the energy. If the systems themselves are worthy of the time and the attention and the energy. Because if you honor this system, then the result is supposed to be what it's supposed to be. Which is also irrelevant, because you shouldn't have to use the system as a means to get to the end result. Because if you yourself are the system, and you have the system within you, then by you being involved, have already created that. Oh, good talk. Okay. Take care. All the best.